Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our first loud learning series. So, pretty simple one today. We're just going to talk about, do a little visual guide of how to install the loud mod. If you're more of a visual learner like I am, just kind of walk through it and then kind of poke around, show you what's there and how to set the game up. So if you go down to the description link of this video, you'll find the link over here to ModDB where you can get the loud installer and updater. I'll take you to the summary page right here. Just go over to the files page, and you'll download this right here, little package. That will pop into your downloads folder as a little zip file. You are going to install/extract that into your main Supreme Commander Forged Alliance folder. So mine's in Steam apps common. That's where you have it. I still got the disk version. I just don't know if it works with the disk version, but I know with the disk version you can turn that into or use your CD key with Steam to get the digital version. So use the Steam version, just easier on everyone. So that will create its own little sub loud folder right here. Loud keeps all its files separate from kind of the main game. It's one nice little feature. So if you want to toggle between FAF and loud or something like that, you're able to do that. And we'll create the little application right here for when you actually want to install the game. So that all being installed, extracted, and done, you'll just come down here and open up little loud launcher. There it is. Best practice is always to, when you get the hit update loud, update maps, get the most current version of the game, current version of the maps. A few other things around here that I didn't know about the first time is this little button right here, which I thought was just a cool little decoration. No, this is the map library. So with the base install for loud, there's going to be, several dozen maps that come in. But if you want, the full experience of plethora of options to be available, this is where you're going to find all sorts of maps, additional maps that you can download that have all been marked specifically for the loud mod. And that is critical because loud does rely on good marking of the map. So if you install some, non-loud, not approved, but, marked maps, the AI is not going to work as effectively. So if you want a map, come here, see if it's something already in the map library. There's a whole suite of them in there. And if it's not there, pop on the Discord, see if it's one that maybe the team, can get marked up. Now, I know a lot of players from previous games or previous iterations or even FAF, they go for smaller sized maps, especially because of performance issues. Loud, performance-wise, we've seen some of my other videos, is designed to work with performance on large maps. It's actually optimized, for 40 by 40 maps. So there's not that many, if you go in here, and sort by 10, there's not actually that many 10-kilometer maps. There are a couple, definitely plenty of 20s, and a lot of people play on 20s, but the 40s is really where it's at. Still working, only a few 81Ks, still kind of working through what I hear from the team of getting 81Ks marked effectively and helping the AI kind of understand the threat picture and how he looks at things. So map libraries right there. First thing right here is the game config. These little symbols you can change in-game, when you zoom out on the map and everything just looks like a symbol. You can use these to kind of change and toggle how you want those symbols to look. So my understanding, people with larger, massive 4K screens benefit from having the larger symbols. I'm here playing on a laptop right now, so not a massive screen. I like the little small one. A few other things here, folder links. So if you encounter any crashes or stability issues when playing loud, two things are going to be very useful to provide to the folks on the Discord, and they're very helpful, and we'll try and get to your root issue. But that will be the log and the replays folder. So you can either get to it by clicking these two links or coming back here. If you just go into your loud folder, go to bin, that is where your loud log is going to be. So it's this document right here. That'll be very helpful for helping people work through bugs. Best practice with that is between games, exit the application completely, because if you do back-to-back games, this will start to get very confused with the two different games that you're playing. So for troubleshooting purposes, just try to only have one game on there at a time if you're having stability issues. Replays folder will be wherever you have your replays. Known issue is that if replays are being synced to OneDrive, you will encounter crashes because it'll constantly trying to update that in OneDrive and eventually have that. So we can do a separate video later on and just kind of working through that issue, or just asking the Discord. People are always helpful. It's a very common issue that happens with Windows because Windows tries to force you to use OneDrive. And then over here, just some web links. Here's how you can get to the Discord right there. There's a little unit wiki, changelog, things like that if you want to. Again, team does this for free if you want to give them a little boost. I don't get any boost from it. I don't work for the team, but if you want to show your appreciation. So everything is ready and you want to get into the game, we'll just push launch game just like that, and that will get this thing started for us. I'll let it go here. So one of the things you want to do, first thing when you game, and we'll see this here, is you want to create a fresh profile for Loud. If you play FAF or you just play standard, those things kind of save some stuff to the data, so it's best to just have a fresh profile. Settings-wise, this game does, even on the larger sizes, use a fair amount of memory, so bumping down the graphics a little bit will help out that when you're playing like those ultra large scale games. I, kind of run the risk and like to play with, higher graphics because the game still looks very pretty to me. One of those people. Judge me all you want. A few other things to note here, though. If you come down to extras, there are two things. One, unit database. So if you want to just kind of peek through the, the whole menu of, and you can do little filters over here and see just kind of what are all the units that are in Loud, how do they work, what are their descriptions, to see kind of, oh, there's the DPS, et cetera, that's how much mass it costs. You can see all that here. Loud has both added some units that's with the base package that are Loud internal to kind of flesh out some of the rosters. And if we come over here to, let's exit that, to the mod manager, there are a number of mods that are already kind of included with the download. Now, not all these are designed to be, working all the time. They're more for personal preference. However, there is what is called the Loud standard mods, right? And that'll automatically select the ones that are kind of designed and integrated and almost, yeah, exactly, the standard Loud package. And a lot of those are unit mods that have been balanced to work within Loud. So definitely recommend using those. They are fantastic. And you'll also be able to see those in the unit database. So get out of there, come back here, and Skirmish. This is where you want to go to set up a game. And here it is right here. So you can see I've got the standard Loud mods online. Here's me, admittedly awful. And we'll just walk through kind of, some of the things. So game setup, normal things. You can set up all of your, choose your maps right here, sort through it. Talk through some things that are over here. So a few things that are ideal for Loud. Unit cap. Loud needs about a 700 unit cap to be effective. So try to keep it around there, or even 800. Now the game can handle, up to 6,000-7,000 units with very little slowdown in performance. And you don't want to go over 8K. 8K is kind of the hard cap. But believe me, even a 6,000 or 7,000 unit game is going to feel very epic. Got a victory condition called Advanced Assassination. So instead of it just being the commander dying, it's commanders and support commanders. So definitely adds for a more dynamic game. I've been commander sniped by Loud before, and fortunately been able to, soldier on. Makes it much more difficult because commander has a lot more build power, and you're just kind of trying to figure it out with support commanders. But makes for a more dynamic and interesting game. And then there's some advanced options down here. I don't recommend messing with these. A lot of these also have to do with how Loud performs over the course of the game. I would leave these as essentially the default that are there. And then a few other things down here. So Fog of War, if you decide to turn that off, Loud is heavily dependent on his intel gathering from air scouts, land scouts, radars, etc. And he uses that to build his picture of the battlefield and essentially run his operations. Turning Fog of War off actually does not impact that at all. So just know that balance-wise, he needs the air and land scouts. So if you start doing unit restrictions, which are possible, just make sure that he still has his intel capability. Otherwise, you're not going to get the Loud experience. So that's the game setup right there. Now, if you want to, throw a Loud AI, or not Loud AI, you want to throw, Loud AI right there. So different from the original game, just AI Loud, right? There's no AIX, cheating AI, etc. If you want to change his difficulty, it's this little thing right here. So 1.0 is standard. You can even bump it down if you're just starting out. You just want to get used to things. Bump it down to 0.9. And then if you really want to get crazy, 1.2. I would die very quickly on 1.2. So that's kind of how you can scale the difficulty. Again, recommended to start with 1.0. A lot of people from base Supreme Commander are not used to having an AI that is very tactical, dynamic, and effective on the opposite side. Even if you're used to playing with AI cheating, you can get overwhelmed very quickly. So kind of recommended to start at 1.0 and just work your way up in little 0.05 increments. That's what I did when I started, and really helped me understand the game. And that's essentially it right here as far as, basics of game setup. So if you have any questions, definitely, A, ask them in the comment section, or B, hop on the Discord, and there's a, little section there for FAQ and help. And we and the team specifically, I'm not really part of the team, but I will usually be lurking there and happy to answer questions as well. We'll be happy to assist. So hope this was helpful, and see you guys in Loud.